We're going at it again. And if it doesn't work, well, I don't know what to say. The full moon doesn't want it to happen. But let's go at this baby again with Amy. Here we go, Amy.
We're here again.
I feel like real witches. I was just like, this doesn't work. This really doesn't work. Okay, we need to make this work. We're going to make this work. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. And we've tested, double tested, triple tested. So thank you for your patience. And we were just talking about the full moon energy. So for those who watch this again, we've already been on once, but then I deleted it. This is actually showing the full moon energy in its fullest expression of wild.
Yes, definitely. You just got to go with it. I was thinking about the book I was reading, Exponential Kink. I'm like, oh, so what pleasure can we find in this wonderful technology?
Yes, I love that. I love that. That's always my approach. Like, how can I best open to this situation so it doesn't become a contraction? How can I make this pleasurable? How can I find the joy and the fun and the play in this situation?
Yes, yes. That's wonderful. I love that approach. It's such a feminine energy.
Yeah, it's just not fun when you try and get annoyed with yourself because it doesn't get you anywhere, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I've learned that the hard way many, many times.
And I mean, that leads us into that we're going to talk about pleasure today because I haven't actually captioned it yet because I was just like, let's just hop on again. I can caption it afterwards. So we're talking about pleasure and talking about our journeys to pleasure and opening up and liberating ourselves as women. So I would love for you to just introduce yourself for those who don't know you in the group.
Yes, so my name is Amy Bolton, and I've been online for many years doing all kinds of different things, supporting women with postpartum depression and anxiety. And recently, I've discovered my more sexual, pleasureful side of things, and so I'm opening up to that a lot more. And I have had a page for a while. It's called Live Healthy, Be Happy, and it's kind of went in a whole bunch of different directions. And right now it's all about pleasure and sexuality and just embracing who I am.
Love that.
And I'm a mother of 2 beautiful girls too, so that's a big part of my story too. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. And finding pleasure when you have all of those deep responsibilities as a woman is like, that's like a multi-dimensional experience just there, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yes. It's a big one. It's yeah, I totally lost myself becoming a mother. I had no clue. I was like so masculine, like masculine energy all the way, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Not embracing that feminine side and all that.
How old are your girls now?
8 and 5, just turned 5. So it's been quite a journey, yeah.
Yeah. And when did you start to open to your feminine essence?
So I started learning about it when my daughter was probably about 3 or so, when I realized, like, this, I did my doula training, and I guess I opened up to all of that, learning about my feminine side and how we kind of close that off in such a masculine society that we live in, and just connecting with my daughters more, and trying to intuitively mother them and be there for them. And then last year, I guess it's almost 2 years ago now, I had a huge, I've always known that I'm a bisexual woman, and but I've kind of shut that down because I got married, I had the kids, I did the house, I did all the, the things that are expected of us in society. And then I'm like, well, what do I do now? Like, what do I do? Like, I've done all the things. I have the house, I have the kids, I have the husband, we're married. And then I had a huge breakdown a couple years ago, and I was like, but I'm not being true to who I am, and I'm not being truthful about who I am. And so I had major breakdowns with a few friends, and crying and opening up. And so I hired a wonderful coach recently, and she's been just like so great about like opening up to who I am, and pleasure, and just this last 6 months, this winter, has been just all about pleasure. So we've been like walking down the beaches and like finding sea glass and making jewelry and just going to the playgrounds and enjoying time with my kids and being a kid again, those types of things, and just really tapping into that.
That's really, wow, that's so important, isn't it? To open to all parts of yourself, and that is the deepest journey that we have here, isn't it? Is accepting who we are and letting ourselves flourish without the judgment around any part of who we are. And that's a huge part of what I facilitate as well for women, is to really deep dive into who are you? What do you have to fully express here? Let's like unleash that, because society doesn't have to tell you what you can and can't do, and we've had enough of that now. So I feel the more that we can talk about this, the better, because it ripples out, the energy is felt, the message is received, because there are so many women, and I feel like a lot of mothers kind of trapped in that systematic approach of it has to look like this to be a mother. And I feel like speaking to that is really, really important and powerful, of how to kind of juggle both. Did you kind of have a space, is that what you're working with your coach, to kind of open up to who you are as well as motherhood, or did you have a way in which you were doing that?
I know hypnosis has been a great tool that we've used. Going into like past generational trauma and things, we've started doing some of that. And I remember one of the first ones we did was going back, and there was getting rid of like that anger and that sadness, and it was a past generational experience that I've had. And so just being aware of that and being like, wow, that makes sense at why I am who I am. And just like there was so much trauma in the past, so in past lives and generations, around childbirth and motherhood. And so exploring those things that I didn't even know were there, right? Like, so going back into that sort of stuff through hypnosis, through just looking back, right? When you get into that deep hypnotic state, you can really be aware of that, and just calming my whole nervous system, and just, trying to relax, because I was like in such like a go, do state for so long, that to actually just be present and actually just embrace the pleasure of life, and the pleasure of, my children. Like last night, I was just laughing, trying to go to sleep. It's been a huge shift. Yeah, just digging into those deeper things, and journaling, lots of journaling.
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's the way to really connect with your subconscious when you're in the present moment, instead of also that journeying back is so important, isn't it? As you were saying, like we're not always aware of what's happening and how it's affecting us now, and journeying back is a powerful healing process, but also to kind of deal with what's going on with the now, journaling is like I think one of the most powerful tools to let our emotions out without judgment and literally just go bleh.
Yes. Oh, I love journaling, and especially when I have journaling prompts to kind of dig into the juicier stuff, the details, and and just letting those feelings out and feeling what it feels like to express everything in my journal. Yeah.
That's a super, super powerful one. And do you do that every morning, or do you just sort of go with how you feel as and when?
I tend to journal later in the day. I do meditations in the morning though. So I'm recovering codependent. So I read my codependent meditations every morning, and I do notice if I don't do it, I'll be a little off. So it's a good reminder to kind of set that morning tone. So I have a bit of a morning routine that I do where I read my journal. I get up before the girls and I have my cup of tea or my cup of coffee, whatever it is, and just kind of enjoy the morning and set the tone and feel good, and yeah.
Be in your space. I've heard that a lot from mothers. It's really important to take that space for yourself before the children get up. Like, I think that's probably the main thing, to
Yes.
your own energy field and giving yourself what you need so that you can then kind of, give them and see them in what they need. Because if you're running around and you haven't had what you need, then you can't really expect yourself, although we do in society, to understand what their needs are and meet them.
Yeah, and even just 10 minutes makes a huge difference, waking up before them and just getting my mind in the right state. And I've always been fairly a morning person, but when your needs aren't met for so many years, it gets to a point of no, my needs are coming first, and I'm going to feel good before we tend to your guys' needs.
Yeah, massive liberation for the mother. For the parent is saying, oh yeah, my needs, oh yeah, those things, let's look at those and let's feel into them, let's see what I need, because there's so much that we do as women. We're just giving out, and we're so used to that that's where burnout comes, isn't it? And I was thinking about this last night, actually, the paradigm of this masculine push, and the women who have had to feel like, to get somewhere and be successful, they have had to do that as well. And just how deeply that's programmed into us is so deep. And to be able to see that and accept that as okay before starting to opening up to the healing, I feel is one of the main important parts of our journey to kind of liberated pleasure and liberated power, is kind of noticing, okay, it's all right, we have had a fucking hard time, and let's acknowledge that, let's claim that, and now let's see what we want to do. We can reframe it, we can choose to change it.
Yes, that's huge. Acknowledging all of that is so huge and so important. And it's so fascinating thinking of it that way, because it's taken me acknowledging that for quite some time, right, in order to shift. It's not like it just happens. It's a process for sure.
It is. It's a very, yeah, I feel like that is also really important to speak to. It's not an overnight fix, which is also what we're so used to, being programmed to think that everything is just like an overnight fix. Just get that diet and then you'll fix it. Just take that pill and you'll be fine. Just do this and that will happen. And actually, that mentality of also realizing that to open to what's possible, you have to relax to it. You have to realize that it takes time. And again, to accept that is another practice.
Yes, things don't always happen on our own time. They happen in divine time.
Exactly. So with an openness is what I always say. Really being able to kind of just surrender, and people talk a lot about surrender, and what does that word mean? And it's like, well, it's simply just letting go of all of that stuff that we've kind of built up around us, and those walls of what we think has to go where, and the musts and the shoulds and the mechanics of everything. I think, all very like robotic. We're not robotic beings, especially as women. We're like these just untamable forces, and we're all so unique.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. And I remember I used to do a technique in the shower, like a shower meditation, and imagining it all just flowing away and going away from me. And it was just such a great way to get myself in that deep relaxation, because I was so busy and I couldn't, I didn't have time. I didn't have time in my head for a bath or any other relaxation. So that's how I kind of multitask. Okay, I need to have a shower. And so I just relax and let it all flow out. And yeah, and it's like letting go of all of that we need to let go of. And then eventually, I could actually make time and have a bath and do those things.
Yeah, really, really, really simple, aren't they? Actually, these practices. It's our daily life. It's like making daily life more pleasurable, making daily life more supportive to us, rather than like forcing us into a place that we don't want to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because being miserable is no fun, and I just want everybody, and that's why I just love working with women and working just with humanity in general, and just like, let's bring more pleasure into our lives and let's feel so much better, because there's that side of it. We don't have to be so miserable, right? And yeah, things are so busy, go, and we feel so much pressure nowadays with all the instant gratification of getting on social media and all that. And yeah, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, finding balance as well in that. I definitely know that's been my like most challenging lesson is, okay, how much time can you give to the other? So it's like that light and dark, that yin and yang, that feminine and masculine. It's like, if you're giving so much to this space, what's the mirror to that? How much space can you give for the downtime and the relaxation and the being out in nature and being in that kind of wider open space where you can gain perspective as well? Because I found being online and doing this work is so powerful, but it's also incredibly time or energy kind of wanting. It's
Yes.
like you're in a
Yep.
really needy relationship, but it's like, oh, okay, I'm at it again. Okay, and for me, I've had to like just kind of counterbalance that, counteract that, and be really present with how much time I need to then make for the relaxation and the space. And I feel like that's the same for everything, isn't it? Whether it's motherhood or our businesses that aren't online, or whatever else we need to do. It's how much time can we then open up to counteract that?
Yes. Yeah. It's so, you're so right there. Like I'm at the beach right now, that the ocean, and I'm just so privileged and thankful. This is where I like to do my work. I have the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, and it gives me that balance. I get to be away from my kids, and sometimes I'll take a little bit of extra time and I'll go for a little walk. And I prefer doing this. Like, I could sit at home. We live in our travel trailer, and we are nomadic, so we can move around. I could sit outside the travel trailer, or I could try and do it with the girls over there. But I prefer just coming down here, and it gives me that balance of like what feels good, and then also the online space. And I hear what you say, what you mean. Like, it can just consume you and feel like too much. So we need to find that balance of like, how can we get out in nature and how can we feel good? And I just love doing my lives and my calls and my connection with people while I'm sitting here like looking out at the water. It grounds me and it feels so much more pleasurable. And yeah, I used to have a space when I had my house that felt really good, right? So bringing that pleasure into your workspace is another way, bringing that nature in. But yeah, it's so important to have both sides, that masculine and feminine energy, and embrace both.
Wow, and then nomadic living. I'm like, let's hear more about that. What do you? What's that? Are you kind of moving?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to, be able to move around and have the freedom to just kind of do what we need to do. So we're spending our winter, I'm in Canada, so in one of the warmer parts of Canada, and where I have my house and all that is like really cold. It's like I don't know if you guys go by Celsius or Fahrenheit, but like when Celsius and Fahrenheit get down to like 30, minus 30, it's like the same regardless. So right now it's like really cold up there. So I didn't really like spending the winters where we were kind of like so isolated inside, and I just wanted to explore more and do those sorts of things. So that was a big push for me, being online and being able to do my work that's, portable and essentially can do wherever I have a Wi-Fi connection. And my girls, they love it because I've been homeschooling them, and they get to like go and explore the beaches, and we do kind of unschooling stuff. So they get to follow what they like, right? So my daughters are always asking, oh, what about this animal? We're like, okay, we'll research it, or we'll go to a new location and there'll be a big billboard or big sign that has information about what the area is about, and they'll read about it, and that's how they get their reading, or we read books, and it's so much fun. I love having that portability. And in the summer we'll go back up north again, and it'll be beautiful up there, and we'll be up by the lake, and we'll spend the summer up there working at the campground and the lodge. And I've done women's retreats up there again, and I'm hoping once COVID kind of gets better, if I can find maybe a COVID-friendly way to do another in-face retreat, or doing an online retreat. So that's what my journaling's been all about, is these women's retreats that I want everybody to know, like, find more pleasure and feel good and just have that break. And so that's kind of where we go in the summer, and then the winters we go where it's a bit warmer. And so this is all just kind of come about. It's very exciting. I've been enjoying it, and obviously it's come with its challenges, right? But we work through it, and it's fun.
Wow. And so whereabouts in Canada? Because I spent time in Toronto in Ontario.
Yeah, so we're on the west coast, so British Columbia.
Okay.
And so summers we spend really close to the Yukon border, so we're just right south of the Yukon border in BC, and then the winter we're down on actually Vancouver Island. So.
Oh wow! Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. So where would the retreats be?
Well, I'd like to do online so that I can kind of connect with more people that way. But I've done retreats up at the lodge, which is on Highway 37, like north, up by the Yukon and that. So I'm just working on details to see if we can figure out something this summer. I don't know if we will be able to or not with all the restrictions. We did a couple summers ago, and it was beautiful, just getting all of the women together and cooking. Like, one of my favorite things is like cooking with women, and like when you get a workshop together, cooking, and the healing that happens and the conversation that happens when you're cooking together and eating together. And we did like Reiki and massage and lots of crafting, lots of like creativity, canoeing, those types of things. And so that's up in northern BC, and we'll definitely work on doing some more. Hopefully it will be possible.
That sounds so good. I'm like, ooh, everyone can hear about that when that's happening. And yeah, I that wild energy of Canada, I just find so incredible. When I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, I could quite happily just stay here in the kind of vastness of the place, because being in England is such a tiny little island, and then you go to places like Canada and America, and you're like, what, it takes you 5 hours to get somewhere? Like in 5 hours we'd be, nearly down the end of the country. So it's kind of mind-boggling, that the difference in scale. But it's also just so wild, such a wild energy there.
Yeah, lots of nature, and that's one thing I'm loving, because even like the energy and the culture changes across one side of the province to the other. Like down here on the island, we went out to some of the smaller islands, and there's just so many neat people, and the nature, like there's so much nature around everywhere you go. The way some of these communities have been built, they really made a point to make sure that there's lots and lots of outdoor space, and yeah, it's very cool. And the place that I kind of grew up and where I started up in northern British Columbia near the Yukon border, it is like, when you use the word wild, it is very, very outdoorsy and wild. Like there's very few people. There's like 300 people in the community we're from, and it's a 6-hour drive to our local, like, Walmart, grocery stores, like big centers. Like we have a small grocery store, but like it's a 6-hour drive to go to the dentist, to go. So it's very remote and very quiet, and up there's where I've done the retreats before, but it's so cool. People go like backcountry from all over. They go canoeing and on big backcountry trips for 10 days, and yeah, we do lots of that up there.
That's amazing. Just do you have like a place where you grow your food if it takes 6 hours to get to the nearest shopping place?
We have had greenhouses and things before, but we do, gets shipped up twice a week. We have a truck, we can order our food and it comes up. But yeah, and it's interesting on the topic of pleasure, because part of the like meditation, the hypnosis and stuff I've done, and the ideas that I've kind of brought to life is all that pleasure. So this is where I grew up, right? So when I talk about this, it just lights me up, that area. I have so much love for that area, because that's what I did as a child. And then becoming, more a teenager and having all these expectations put on me. And like, I just lost it, right? Becoming a mom and just becoming an adult and just thinking that I had to do everything the way society, the way my mom thought things should be done, my parents, etc. Yeah, and so I lost it. And so it's interesting, because I've done like kind of a wrap right around back to feeling that pleasure that I felt as a kid. And when I think of pleasure, a lot of the things are things that I did as a child and where I grew up as a child. And I love being in nature. I love being by the water. And yeah, so that's a little way to tap into what you need, what you want to feel like if you haven't been able to, is what did you feel like as a child? What did you enjoy as a child, right?
Definitely exploring that wild, childlike curiosity and opening up to pleasure being an innocent practice, and a very honest and truthful practice, because there's quite a lot of energy around pleasure, isn't there, when it comes to sexual pleasure, and there's a lot that can come up in our minds as women if we suffer trauma, or the stories that we've been told, or how we've been raised. So it definitely, yeah, coming back to that innocent as a child, and connecting with what feels good and where you feel safe as well. It's a lot about safety, isn't it?
Yes, safety is huge. That's very, very, a very good point. It is. And I know I've used that mantra a lot. It says, I'm safe, I feel safe. Because it's so funny when you bring yourself back down, because doing the postpartum depression, anxiety coaching for years, when you bring yourself back to that safe and that calm, you're like, okay, well, why was I so, anxious and off? Once you get calm again, once you realize you're safe, because we are safe, right? But our fight flight complex is just like, okay, we're not safe, but we are safe, and feeling safe is where you feel pleasure and where you can feel relaxed. And
Yes, it's so important to talk about that, the central nervous system, and the letting that heal and open up that post-traumatic stress. And I think that is a massive part of being able to anchor into our bodies as well again as women. If we've like been checking out of things, checking out of intimacy with a partner, or checking out of just being in our bodies, and kind of even as spiritual women checking out of having to like get on with the daily life. I know there's so many different ways in which we can check out and not want to be in this physical vessel. So definitely so massive, such a big thing to look into deeper.
yes.
I love
Yes.
those retreats, and just how it's just so ancient, it's so old. Like women have been doing this for generations and generations, like gathering together, cooking together,
Yes.
just being together. And sisterhood that's such a huge thing for me that I love to facilitate. It just feels like home.
Yes. Yeah, women are just, it's so important to have that sisterhood and that group of women. And over the years, so much healing's happened, and just being able to get together. Like, and I feel so much for the new moms right now, like during these COVID times, because so many of the women that I've worked with over the years, the healing happened, and the like connection happened, and not even healing, just being connected with a sisterhood of women through cooking, through doing crafts, through doing different activities and going for walks and all that. So I'm so grateful that we have online technology to actually feel like we're connected with everybody, because it's so important to have that going on.
Yeah, it's time for us to bring that back now. I'm like, come on, sisters, let's just like rise up and go, fuck all of this, and like a big fire of just,
yes,
we need each other. We do.
We do. We so do. And that was a huge thing. Like, I know, like, looking back at postpartum depression and anxiety, and like, I believe that now, like, getting depression after having my kids was like kind of a way of slowing me down. But like, I also know that having connection through other women and other support, and that's like you say, it goes back to ancient times, like way back when like doulas and mothers and aunts and everybody was there to support the new mother. And I can't remember the stats, but like women held the baby for like, a very small portion of their day, like 20% of the day, maybe just only to breastfeed, but the baby was taken care of by the rest of the community and the sisterhood. And there was just it's just such a beautiful thing. And we do need to go back to that. We so need to go back to that. Like, so many people are separated from all that. And it's just, I feel like in Canada, where like everybody's so spread apart, families are just like days away from each other. And we need more of a sisterhood to help hold each other up. And it's a big, and with COVID happening, oh my gosh, the mental health crisis that's happening right now is just, we need this.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that's what I want to open the space up to more, is having this space where we can talk and we can share and we can show up and we can be ourselves. And there's so much nourishment and healing that I've experienced being with women, and we can do so much online as well and gather. I'm such a huge like advocate of gathering, just wherever everyone is in the world, and coming into like a space together, and then possibly physically then all gathering. Like those are the visions I have all the time. I'm like, the rainbow warriors, the Hopi prophecy about the rainbow, the people coming together at the time when everything is, you know, burned down and Mother Nature is dying and the animals are dying, like, we will have to come together. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm up for this. I'm ready. Let's feel that energetic field. And then, you know, then physically when the time is right. I mean, I'm just like, that just fills my heart with so much joy.
Yes, yes. I just love that when you, oh yes, we do all have to come back together. That is exactly it. Yes. And yeah, and connect while we're able to online. Like the healing that's happened from being in groups of women and just hearing your story, like listening to other people tell their story, and you can connect to parts of it. Just like, wow, I'm not alone, right? And so many different support groups I've been a part of and different sisterhoods. It's like, wow, like, you know, it's, I can relate to a little piece of everybody's story, and it makes us feel a part of everybody, right? Which we are. We're all energy.
I know, and I love it, and I love that we started this conversation together in here. And yeah, I really want to open this up for others who watch the replay to comment or ask any questions, or let's open this space to what we've talked about today, and just kind of tune into where maybe you're needing support, because I feel like that is also what I want the space to be about, is that we can support one another and really show up for that, and kind of work like a web. Weave that web.
Yes. Yes, I love it.
I'm so grateful for you coming in and being patient with all the the internet connection.
Always teaching us patience, the wonderful technology.
It is. It really is. And yeah, I feel like we've talked about so many full, beautiful, and deep, intimate things that yeah, let our sisters digest it all. And yeah, it's been great. Thank you for joining me, Amy.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to have connected.
Yeah, really, it's great. I'm like, yes, Canada, woo! Oh, well, have a beautiful rest of your day, and yeah, let's open and expand to what's possible. There's infinite possibilities and opportunities out there for each and every one of us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a wonderful day as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.